Top of the morning folks, today from the Reddit Rainforest. What's the worst thing you have put in your mouth? When I was a kid I used to suck on pennies and quarters all the time. Years later I realized how fucking disgusting it is. Another man's dip spit ... I have still got an unshakable fear of red Solo cups. I worked in a cryogenics lab the summer after my freshman year of college, and we always had access to liquid nitrogen. In Fahrenheit, liquid nitrogen is about 300 degrees. One week, we were hosting some kids camp that was supposed to encourage kids to enjoy science. So on the last day we told them that we could play with some liquid nitrogen. I filled a 2L container while the lab supervisor went off with the kids to collect different fruits that they wanted to shatter. Once we had all the supplies, we started dropping fruits in the nitrogen and then pulling them out with tongs and tossing them in the air. The wood hit the concrete and shatter. Pretty sweet. I noticed that none of them were becoming completely frozen, and using my freshman understanding of heat transfer, decided that the fruits would be stuck at their freezing temperature until they were completely frozen and should still be safe to eat. For whatever reason, my supervisor allowed me to amaze the kids by putting the shattered fruit pieces in my mouth and eating them. Of course, my game went terribly wrong. A kiwi split open in the nitrogen, and it froze solid. Now, the temperature upon shatter was somewhere between 100 and 300 degrees F when I popped a piece in my mouth. It froze to my tongue and stayed stuck for about 5 minutes. My tongue was actually partially frozen and white when the kiwi finally came off, and you can imagine the pain when it thawed. My tongue ended up swelling to twice its normal size, blistering, and then popping, peeling, and becoming a giant sore by the end of the day. For the next few weeks I had a slowly shrinking sore that made it very difficult to eat, and my tongue grew back smooth. Years later, I do have all my taste still, but I was worried about that for quite a while. To sum it up, a piece of frozen kiwi somewhere between 100 and 300 degrees F. In college I took human gross anatomy. That day we took out the lungs. I was reading the instructions from the book when one of my dissection partners placed the lung on the table. The apex flicked a bit and something flew into my open mouth. I stopped mid-sentence. It was one of those moments where there is no sound in your brain, save for a faint screaming off in the distance. I said there's lung juice in my mouth and left to go to the nearest water bubbler as quickly as I could. I thought I had suppressed this memory until I started reading other comments on this thread. So here it goes. It happened last summer on one of my days off. I have a habit when I drink out of cans to just set them down and forget. This is not usually a problem for me because I usually either find my beer or open another one. This time however I put my drink down, and about 10 minuets later I realized I was without a drink, so I went on a search. My method is usually to just walk around and pick up cans until I feel one that seems like it has the right amount of weight in it. This plan usually works fine for me, but this time it went horribly wrong. Unfortunately for me there was a can beside mine that had about the same amount of juice in it, but it had been sitting out for at least 3 weeks. This is bad enough, but it gets worse. At the time I was living in staff accommodations, and we had frequent problems with infestations of insects. This does not usually bother me because it was in the wilderness and am the outdoorsy type. It turns out that beer is a pretty good attractant for insects and cans work as an excellent trap. My thought process over the next 3 seconds goes as follows. Damn, this beer is stale. Oh well. Wait, there's chunks in this beer. Org, I hate it when people put butts in beer cans. Holy mother of God, it's moving. I proceeded to spit out what I had not swallowed before I had connected the dots. On the table in front of me is the most horrible sight I have ever seen. A nauseating concoction of large carpenter ants, earwigs, baby spiders, beer bugs, and those Japanese beetles that look like ladybugs sat in a gross colored slime that had once been beer. The worst part of it all was that some of them were still moving. I proceeded to vomit and drink enough alcohol to shelter myself from the traumatic experience. Lesson learned. Smell cans before drinking them. TLDR. Drank beer can full of bugs. Some of them were still alive. An Oreo cookie that turned out to be covered with tiny black ants. When I was about 10 I ate an off-brand Oreo from a freshly opened package. Took a bite and a small green grub came crawling out of the uneaten portion. 13 years later, and I still refuse to eat off-brand Oreos. Dog malarkey. I stepped in some dog malarkey and had the brilliant idea to brush it off with my toothbrush. It was fairly old, and I had a new one ready to go afterwards anyway. After scraping the malarkey from my shoe I instinctively put it back in the toothbrush holder and later that night brushed as normal. I did not realize until waking up the next morning and thinking, why can I still smell dog malarkey? To sum it up, malarkey eating grin. Took a big bite of a pizza with a living spider on it. It managed to squirm out of my mouth mid-bite. I had not noticed I had popped a spider in my mouth initially. My girlfriend's Jack Russell Terrier stuck its dick in my mouth. Go on ... She went to go walk her dog. I was drunk, so I stayed behind to lay in her driveway. Upon their return the dog jumped on my face and forcefully stuck his dick down my throat. Lumpy chunky sour milk. When I was a kid, I grabbed a plastic cup out of the back of the fridge thinking mom had put my milk from breakfast in there. As I went to take a swig it was too late, the chunks were rolling forth and they globed right into my mouth. Horrible. Just horrible. Ever since I always swirl my glass and smell my milk before I'll drink it always. Funny how your body does not forget. Liquid laxative. I had to drink 2 4 ounces bottles of it before my colonoscopy. It tasted like thin, warm bile. I almost threw it all up. During high school I was too cheap to buy food, so I'd let my friends throw food to me and I'd catch it in my mouth. I got pretty good at it, and it had become a lunchtime spectacle. Then one day as I was catching food, a friend threw something and I caught it in my mouth. I bit down and it was hard and tasted horrible ... When I took it out I found he had thrown a malarkey covered rock instead of food. I had the taste of malarkey in my mouth all day. Like many young adults, I got my wisdom teeth removed. I was 19 years old, freshman in college. I got them removed over spring break. Woo. Surgery went well. I recovered over a 2-day period. Went back to school to hang out with friends. Somebody must have forgotten to give me instructions on caring for my wisdom teeth wound. Apparently, you're supposed to clean that area a couple times a day, not suck through straws, and not drink or eat beer or bread because of the live yeast. I did not know my new fake ID, and I had not received that memo. I went out to bars sucking drinks down with straws, slamming beer, puking, and passing out. I had the entire week off from school. I also had plenty of money saved up for a spring break vacation. But I was stuck at school because of the wisdom teeth surgery. That made going out and getting hammered each night a high priority. It was a 5-night bender. Good times. But I digress. I wake up Monday morning to go to class and I have a huge lump on the inside of my mouth. My first thoughts were, damn, these wisdom teeth feel like a ditch. That should have been my first warning. The lump on the inside of my mouth grows day by day. By Friday it is visible from the outside of my mouth. I can look in the mirror and notice visibly swollen, chipmunk-like cheeks. I start getting noticed by friends. Kind of embarrassing. That was when I realized something was not right and I needed to make another dentist appointment. I make the appointment on Friday, but he cannot squeeze me in, so I have to wait until Monday morning. His secretary tells me not to drink any alcohol and clean the wound out with a pipette. Good idea, I think. I go into the dorm bathroom, communal, that Friday evening with plans to clean my mouth out well. I take the pipette full of warm water and lift it back into the little holes in the back of my mouth. Squirt a little bit in, and it feels pretty good. Strange sensation I had never felt before. I squirt a little more and spit. Very bad taste in my mouth, but not terrible and quite diluted by the water. I squirt more water in each hole. Dorm floor RA comes in to take a piss. He stops and notices what I'm doing in the mirror. He also notices my big red cheeks from the swelling. In a joking fashion, he grabs both of my cheeks, like your grandmother would, and says, "Oh, Aaron, not you just the cutest?" At that very instant, the pressure from his squeeze releases the water, festering bacteria, pus, and scar tissue from my wisdom teeth hole. It all combines in a rancid, toxic stew inside of my mouth. I can smell, taste, and feel every bit of it. Instantly, I throw up over him, myself, the sink, and mirror. I could not brush that taste out of my mouth for 3 days. Absolutely the worst thing I have ever had in my mouth. Moldy yogurt. I was the kid that pulled the lid off the yogurt cup and immediately licked it. Without question. It only ended up badly for me one time. After dinner, when I licked the lid and then a split second later realized the horrible mistake. A half-empty can of Diet Coke that somebody had used to extinguish their cigarettes. Purposefully, lutefisk. Accidentally, cat malarkey. What, like tripped and fell into the litter tray. Got out of the shower and had no clean clothes to put on. Just got to kittens from the Human Society that week. Picked up a shirt off the floor, put it up to my face to smell it. Got malarkey all over my face. And a piece of malarkey in the mouth. Rice Krispie treat with a wasp on it. Wasps apparently do not like being put inside a mouth and can sting multiple times. Unintentionally, a bee. It flew into my open bottle of soda when I was not looking. Intentionally, fish sauce. Bought it for a nation recipe, but either fish sauce is the world's greatest troll, or the bottle I got was rotten. It literally took days to get the flavor out of my mouth. A battery. I was 17, and I was not paying attention. It was like a flashback to my windowsill gnawing days. Billions of potential babies. I once was paid a $1 to bite into a fluorescent light tube. Glass shards and blood everywhere. Not to mention mercury. Do not try this at home. A cigarette. Nobody starts smoking thinking they'll get addicted. Hell, it's been 6 years now, and I thought it'd stop after 1-2 years. If anyone here is thinking of trying one, do not even do it. Not even once. I ate some hand lotion once because the bottle said coconut flavored. It was not, and it left a weird, smooth, disgusting film all over the inside of my mouth. My sister and I were in a department store in the perfume section. She picked up a tester bottle and said, "I really like this one. Hold still." Then she tried to spray it on me, missed, and shot a stream of perfume directly into my mouth. The best part was, as I was choking and trying to get rid of the god-awful taste, my sister asked, "Sorry about that, but do you like it?" Welcome to the end of the video. Do not worry, there are many more. Come aboard for more adventures. Like and subscribe for more posts from the Reddit Rainforest. Thanks for watching.